legal, or, security, etc., you are going to see that, well, they may start acting out, they start practicing regarding a specific people more likely to commit certain crime. And I think a while ago, we did have instance that the persons who wore hoodies were more likely to be targeted. You heard about that. Don't wear the hoodies. And that is a very quick example, very obvious example of a profiling. The practice of singling out person for law enforcement procedure on the basis of a predetermined characteristics. All right. Unfortunately, skin color may be a factor, gender could be a factor, and I also work with African American male, and a lot of time, I have friends who happen to have mixed race children, like the mother is white and the father is African American, or vice versa. And many of them do express the concern, like, my son is out there. Even if he does not do anything, it's very likely they will be targeted just from nowhere. So those are the pressing reality that we are facing right now. All right, and so the elements of profiling. The first thing, the biological appearance, your gender, your race, your disability. Those could be the factors that people start exercising, like, oh, you gotta be put under this specific category. We are not talking about right or wrong. Most of them are not right. All right, let's just put it this way. But, that kind of black and white kind of thinking, if you look like this, you belong to this specific category, so on and so forth. The behavior, the identity, the sexual orientation, gender identity, etc. The use of language, the custom, the specific practice, the rituals, and how a person dress. Like, do you wear the hijab or not? That is very obvious. You dress a specific way. People start exercising judgment on you, the prejudice. Some other psychological and emotional elements, we can go on, so on and so forth. All right, so I asked my students, what are the things that kind of pop up when we are talking about this specific issue? And I learned from them based on this couple things. All right, so for students who came from foreign country, the most pressing element is going to be the usage of language. All right, so you speak with accent. It's obvious, people will pick it up. But on the other hand, the language may be the foremost, but not the only issue. For instance, the nonverbal communication, how would you pick up the cue? And I always say that, use Tiger as an example, everything is falling in between the crack, right? So you have to be able to read between the lines. That's what Tiger really likes to emphasize. And if you are preoccupied by trying to translate the message that you are listening or you're picking up, do you think that you have enough mental power to look in between the lines? A lot of times you're going to miss those too. But moving along, the context. I like to use this example. When somebody tells you, oh, isn't this nice? You're like, isn't it nice? Alright, so what have you perceived between those two different ways of expression? So how would you describe the first way, the first expression that I gave out to you? Oh, isn't that nice?
Sincere.
Sincere? And what other descriptor would you go along with that? Positive?
Excited.
Excited. Yeah.
Excited.
You feel that, hey, will be ready to celebrate with you. All right, so they are sincere. And then, oh, isn't that nice? I even didn't move my mouth. Everything just kind of went between my teeth and just kind of came out. And so if I say, oh, isn't that nice? What did you perceive? Sadness. What? Resentment. Any other terms?
Passiveness.
Yeah, passive aggressive. Any other perception that you perceive from the second expression?
Insincerity.
Insincere, and then you know that, oh, something might be cooking, right? You just feel like, oh, I may be stabbed from the back, right? All right, so the context, all right, and then that is like a quick example to let you know that, whatever that you hear may not be what actually being expressed. And so you start second guessing yourself. That yours, again, you are so preoccupied trying to kind of catch all the cues, there'll be something that might have been missing. And the idiom, all right. So how many of you know, hey, I feel hunky-dory today? You gotta be okay to know that, right? All right, Texan, do you know what hunky-dory means? All right, good, yeah. Any other idiom that you see yourself using?
Fine and dandy.
Fine and dandy, okay, well, you have a fine right there, so it reveals the message. Any others? Okie dokie, okay. Alright, and so, like, I think the most remotely recognizable was hunky-dory. Like, okie dokie, you could easily associate with okay. But hunky-dory, alright, I'm going to ask some international student in the back. Alright, what's hunky-dory? Good! I didn't want you to know that, that's why I pulled that out. Alright.
Hungry, being hungry.
Okay, well, it's getting pretty close to 12 o'clock. Alright, so anyone from Southwest region would like to share the interpretation or the definition of a hunky-dory?
Just fine, pretty good.
There you go!
Oh.
Yeah, but it has
I didn't know.
This is just fine.
any relevance
Hunky-dory.
that allows you to understand it's fine, right? A hunky-dory. And so if I use that in my communication, in my expression, I say, oh, wow, this is hunky-dory. And then my students say, okay, hunky, donkey. All right, so the idioms like those, if you were not in that specific region, and then if you go to New York, you ask people about hunky-dory and say, right? And so there happens to be regional, cultural based idioms that if you have passed the state line, it may not carry the same message. One of the shows that I really like to watch years ago is that Do You Speak American? I think it's on like Travel Channel or Discovery Channel or whatsoever. But it's so interesting to see like, okay, crawdaddy. You guys gotta know what crawdaddy is, right? Crawfish, right? But see, if I can tell you it was crawfish, you said crawdaddy. My dad is crying. But because that he did something really bad and then he had to pay that back, my mom was punishing him. And so, see, like, if you have a term, you pass the state line, pass a specific region, you use a different term, and then you express a different feeling. And so now, imagine an international student who's just trying to pick up, okay, so crawl, I know what crawl happens to be. And there is, in fact, another joke that happened on myself. When I was doing my internship, we usually will have a little game line at the end of each week. Like the interns and the intern supervisor, we will play some silly games. And then one of the games that we play happens to be Pictionary. Alright, so I was given a card that spells out HIPPIE. Alright, so I look at that, say, alright, I have 5 seconds to nail it. Guess what I draw on the picture? I drew a behind plus an apple pie. My team win it immediately. and so I use this as an example. When you are looking at a specific issue from a different lens, you may have a different solution. It may not be necessarily bad, and I can honestly help you. Back then, I didn't know that's the way that you spell hippie. So I didn't have like a peace sign and you know, the 60s, the long hair. No, that never went through my head. And I was, okay, I'm going to nail this. So I draw a hip, I draw a pop. I was good. Alright. So keep that in mind. Alright. So moving along. Couple other things that the students that have to kind of get used to the adjustment have expressed to me, like the things that kind of frighten them. Earlier I used the term fear, but I think it may not be necessarily the fear. It's more the uneasiness, like they didn't know how they were supposed to react. The most obvious one is going to be the verbal. Alright, so, you know, you did something, you tried really hard, this is the way that I was going to do this, and then you have the client telling you that, I don't understand what on earth that y'all trying to tell me. How many of you have run into issues like this? Oh yeah, myself included, and then you just feel so defeated, like, I worked so hard, now I have my cards, I practiced my speech, last night for 5 hours, and my client still couldn't understand what I was talking about. And it turned out that he forgot to put his hearing aids too. So the issue may not be necessary because you didn't enunciate the words well enough. The hearing aid was not in. Okay. So, but you know, the verbal feedback could be very intimidating. Or like, you know, you really don't know how to speak English. And I would say, but you don't know how to speak Mandarin Chinese either. Well, I can be sassy right now, but you know, fast forward 30 years ago, I'm so sorry. I feel so bad. All right, so you kind of put yourself in that specific context. The nonverbal expression, you know, the facial expression of like. Alright, then all of a sudden, like, you know, if you're in a clinical setting and then you see your client like, or like, how would you feel? And so like this, you know, the first thing is like, have I done anything wrong? Did I say anything inappropriate? Or have I acted out of a context? So you go down a list of reprimands that you would apply on yourself. Even if you have done nothing wrong, you just stop going down the list and then you'll stop beating yourself up. Many of you, I don't know, myself, went through this specific stage. Oh, I'm gonna go that way. Next one. And the behavior. In fact, I have to request a favor from Dr. Chen. I'm going to use one of the examples that really happened on her. A couple years ago, when she was working, is that okay if I, the old gentleman, right?
I don't know what you're going to tell them.
Okay. Alright, so a couple years ago, when Dr. Chen was working with the cat patient, an old gentleman,